This is day 841 of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. Today's Arukh HaShulchan Yomi is sponsored by Rebbe and the Yom Kislin for a Refuah Shlema for his father, Avram Schai ben Miriam, Shara Refuah Shlema Bekarov. Today we are doing Siman Taf Kuf Lamed Zayin, Siv Gimel, Taf Kuf Lamed Zayin, Yud Aleph. To talk about Dov Rabin. Gimel Yoros, which are irrigation canals. Which come out of lakes. If they never stop, they're constantly flowing. Mutzar lashkos man, allowed to water from them. Imain poskim, if they do into a stop, asurim, they're forbidden. The chashin shemiskurim malebitli are afraid they're going to stop flowing, and you're going to start filling up with a bucket. Why not we concern? Why not concern in cases where they don't stop, that they may stop? Kaven Shane may have Bria Kane. I know literally, since they've been that way since creation. Of Lilpas community that they haven't stopped. We assume that kind of a chazaka, not going to stop ever. So I guess till the Oros actually were not man-made canals; they were natural canals, and evidently they were always flowing. They're just very small, mini rivers, so to speak, and therefore charitzin, which are irrigation ditches, asuim b'dei adam, which are man-made. Shamayim b'ayim derech sham, or water comes there or from the river, so to the field. Also, mehem, you can water the field from the plants from them, the field from them. Also, even though they're full before them, they're likely to stop. Therefore, if among them there winds a water ditch, shimi toldasa, which was natural, and then since that winds among them and they're getting filled from that, and that never stops, they also won't stop. Then you can use the man-made ditches. If most of the field cannot be watered directly from the river, that natural ditch, but only from the subsidiary ditches. Mishabur says, look at the Beis Yosef, the name of the Rabbit, that it's only if the natural ditch goes among the pools. It doesn't go to the pools, even though it goes in the field, it's usher. Not sure what exactly the difference is. Bishva writes, it's lav davka. As long as it's near the field, it's called among, as if it goes in the midst of the field, and it's okay. Even if most of the field has to use the artificial ditches, it's still much easier to use to irrigate the field without having to use buckets. This is a it needs to have an irrigation. It needs irrigation. Sheish b'mayim, which has a spring. Shemeim of notim menel l'soda acheres. It's the water drips from there to another field. Welcome amok to a deep place. They collect them and it's and become a pool. You can use that pool to water a different field. As long as the spring is dripping into the pool. And the spring does not cease. If it stops, the dripping, or that the spring is interrupted, also it's forbidden. Because then we're afraid you're going to bring bitli in a bucket from another spring. Hey, also let's be correct. Finally, we're not allowed to make furrows at the bottom of grapevines. Clearly, you smell that they should come full of water. It's not necessary to do it on Cholamoid. Mishnah says it's the Tzirchi Seira, and it's also even there's a loss. I guess not Efsem Ruba, but ain't regular loss. But you'll see us cutting on Moed. And right away before Yontif, these Galkut Sassim became ruined a bit. But you can still tell where the furrow was. I raised some talking Moed, you can fix it on Yontif and Cholamoid. Also, Miko, you can make it deeper, yes, and Rishon than it was. But that was since Rishon, it's enough to let you put it down as deep as it was to begin with. Shmuel says you're also not allowed to widen them. Yes, they got completely stopped up. Also, forbidden to fix them. They it's a tikkun that's not fixing. It's making it new. So too, if you have this canal which got ruined, so you can fix it. The dafka shenishar tefach. That's released the tefach left intact. When its depth. The charitz daigam b'pachas would have by a furrow can be even less than the tefach remains, as long as you can see the tzur of the furrow. By the amma, it's got to be at least a tefach. Because again, the b'choritz dai gam pachas b'tefach. Unless that was another shame, chalitzav has the name of b'choritz. Avla amma, but the ditch, well, which the irrigation ditch, she pachas b'tefach. It's less than tefach. Ein michos mamayim. The water can't go past it at all. The garment is completely blocked off. Which in Yisha Tefach, there's Tefach left over by Shisha Tvachim and go down all the way to 6 Tvachim. But I'll make in depth. Which Yisha Tivchaim, if there's 2 Tvachim left, you can cover out Shiva. So is that another 5 Tvachim? Not necessarily, as we'll see in a moment. Mishmur says, the some poskim machmer that even if it's 2 Tvachim deep, you only go down to 6. The Yoselite you can never go past 7, says Yoshua. Even if it's 3 Tvachim or more deep. Seven tvachim is deep enough. Even more than 5 tvachim, in other words, didn't let you go more. Dig more than 5 tvachim in total. They go out there because of the effort involved, the toil involved. Bracket says, "I am a gebrosh cuts in the mashal after shaloya sham tefachim olam." Even if it's not ruined, it was never more tefach. You're allowed to dig a deeper on kolomai. No, okay. How did you know that? Upshita was kakolomai. He rejects that. So I'll tell you where it got ruined, not where it was originally just tefach deep. Vav, moshim esamayim, you draw the water from tree to tree. Davik say base of shalchin, which is like a field which depends on irrigation. The pseudo say because there's a very great loss potentially. Avaloyish gets close to a kula, but you shouldn't give the entire field water. She based about when it's a field which normally suffices with rainwater. The law says, name Yishami, that if the trees are planted very, very packed together, more than 10 in a base saw, you're allowed to water the entire field. It's a big cool, I guess, because since there's so many trees, regarded as all being one big orchard. No. But if the field was moist and then dried up, then you're allowed to give it water. If you don't give water, it's going to get lost. It's going to be lost. Mutter, water the entire thing. Then the Rak Sheish by Lona says only when it has trees. You look at it otherwise. Havli the Tana Lumar Mashkamis or Shachin base about. As you said, you are allowed to be mashke both the base of Shachin and the base of Kshilacha when it's moist. No, that's not the case, only if it has trees. Sharatiyim writes that this is according to Rashi, according to Rambam, has to still be moist, not if it has trees. No, even if it's dried up, it can't be completely dry. It has some moisture. Sharatiyim writes that according to Rambam, we just did that. Bir Alacha writes that. Did I miss one here? No, there's writes that if it has seeds, which we haven't had water yet, then you also have to do the entire field. As for the seeding, you need to have more water. Zayin osif makol esladek dish you go to about my mashko, so you can opening into a field in order that water should go in. She based about if it's normally one which suffices with rainwater. If you open up the ditch in order to fish in there, such as you open on the side going in, you open a place large enough that waters go in with fish. The bottom you open a place narrow enough the water will still go out. We're talking about the fish remain behind, mutter is permitted. Even though you're automatically fixing the field that way. Says she usually same dogim. It's only if you're doing it, everybody will know you're doing it for the purpose of the fish. But otherwise it's forbidden. The mitzvah says, which brings down, that it was only in terms of Isl Chatchila. But the Yabed, we don't find him, even if it's not apparent, as long as he says he's had a mind specifically for fishing. Um, uh, but for Shunsi, he's more machmir. It says, without having it obvious, then it's also, even he says for the purpose of fishing. Even as intent for the purpose of fishing. Came that Meiser Basara since the Meiser is being done to a field. Now, even though not eat all the fish on Chol Moed, come Hachashikar Meiser Basada, ain't Hetan Ken Yochim Kulam Aruba B'Moed. Oh, says even though normally you don't have to eat all of them, like with Kedera, just eat a little bit of the Kedera and they cook it for the Yontav Sheni. For Shabbos, he says no. It's got to be most of them are for the purpose of eating, and most of them will be ready during Chol Moed. Ches. Also, I'm not sure specifically Chol Moed. Mr. Boer writes that his intent was to eat from them, even if he didn't das to eat all of them. It's okay. The people guys not sure about that. Ches. Also, Ash was a sort of tzarchish. I can't smooth out a field for the purpose of plowing. If it's clear as doing this in order to thresh grain in order to be used for Chol Moed, mutter is permissible. The case of the Simon, how do you know that? Amar Gemara says muya muya, and not to benatza. If you take there's a hillock, you smooth it out in place, or there's a depression, and you smooth it out in place. In other words, you don't bring from elsewhere or take to elsewhere. That's the Beit Dara. You're doing to make a threshold. Shaka muya, the short amount you take a hillock and put it into the depression, so that's to fix the land. That's called Rif Arosh. The Behishva Karkos, if you make the land flush, it's also. The Rashi gives them half. The Rashi has gives in the exact opposite direction. Tafka Behishva Mutter. It's only if you smooth it out. So for us, we have to be marking both accounts. It's also no matter what. But to John see if Tais Pasuk Vigurus Rashi. They pass like Rashi, it says back about Pasuk, the Shnei Masurim. They share yourselves about us because of the different versions. Yeah, we're passing away as well. But also like it, so now let's gather wood from the field. They also was make it improve it for plowing. It's clear that he intends to do it for its own purpose. He needs the wood. So he takes the large pieces and leaves the small pieces behind. Mutzis permissible. And also the katzeitz, the anfei elon l'taknu. You can also chop down the leaves of the branch of a tree in order to fix the tree. If it's clear that he has in mind, we should have nothing for the branches, to take them out to feed this animal. Little taknu not to fix the tree. Such as you're cutting them off on one side of the tree, which you wouldn't do if you were trying to safeguard the tree. The said near the code, everybody sees when he does that. You might suck having that is really for the animal. Or for the wood. You might start a kavanah attacking but how do I do it to fix the tree? Go all the way around as opposed to focusing on one side. That's a hecker. But we learn us everything we said about ground and trees. It doesn't, that which he has in mind to do for the purpose is not okay unless everybody will be able to discern that clearly. But otherwise, the karka, because there's activity in the ground, we learn us in the trees. Lo dami l'shari dvarim d'dai b'kavan l'chud. It's more public, and therefore it's not enough. Like other things where kavanah suffices. The brackets he is here. He says that Tifkon Yud from Bezesh Kasav Rabbeinu Yerucham. Rabbeinu Yerucham the warm mashma. The Adam Chashat Tzayich L'Yisrael Gam Davar Avod. The distinguished person is careful even not do Malach and Davar Avod. Avokal Baskim Libi is there. All the Baskim regions don't bring this down. The common Dvarim Bagmar Matzina Adam Chashushani. Something the more itself differentiates between a regular person and another chashuv. You come lose card but this halacha doesn't mention those lists. You don't hold yourselves to be chashuv. Which cause there's a place come and like there's some place come in some places. It's okay to say Beli Rabba. Which the Torah says, nevertheless, it's best to do it the davar of a betzina, unless this causes a loss. Causes a stumbling block, where people thought it was mutter to do something. Excuse me. This is a separate thing. So if you did it in a way which people perceived, and they came to Mlacha Chol Moed as a result of seeing you do it, you left them Mlacha in order to Chol Moed in order to do them then. So then that is you should refrain from you're not in for doing anything. Okay, you test. Aim it to metalin esaylonos. You don't worm the trees. I should know that the lash be long. It grows up the trees. The tircha rabbi. It's very great toil. The main of say to come in on the say it's more lose. To know achar moed wait until after the yontif is over. Lo masami and atios. We don't pollute literally the saplings. I shenishar klipaso when its bark has come off. Maybe you can some zevel. You put there fertilizer. Somehow it works. Shalim was so the tree shouldn't grow die in the meantime. I was sakina ilanos laperas. It's I can't do that. I was saying ilanos laperas so you can with shemen, but you can anoint the trees and the fruit with oil. The dirchakali it's very light effort. Kain tzadim is like ishos. You're supposed to catch moles. The birya that's an animal she'ein lo'inayim which does not have not have eyes. It digs itself in the ground. V'achborim and mice shemam sini loans when they cause the loss of the trees. Hainu meaning shechaser. Sorry, that they cut holes. The Taylor ba hamitsuda. Oh no, he's saying how you allowed to trap them. You dig a hole and you put in it a trap, and then I guess you cover it over so the animal walks and it falls in. They also allowed even to dig the hole. I've seen because they cause a great loss in a tree orchard. I feel say even in a grain field, it's called a white field Gemara, which is adjacent to a tree orchard. Mutter you're allowed to catch the ants. The normal way, because they leave there, cause loss of the trees. If it's not next to an orchard, ain't sending some ideation. You need to use the shinoi. Should know it's spud, but it's like you put a skewer in the ground. I know and you wave it around and around. Achinas his guma until you make a hole. Until you and you can hang your shield on it. But to dig a hole in normal fashion is forbidden. Yesh machmirim. And some say that this heter they shinu gankin enel besmuga l'solim. So if it's adjacent to an orchard, now the smucha also lachbor kedarko. When it's adjacent, it's allowed to dig the normal way. And it's not adjacent. After they shinu also, by shinu, they should stay low and mafsidim. There's no such thing as a sustained loss by a grain field. So let's say they Yehudi Osir, Mashras about someone to do a non-Jew, whatever you can't do yourself, can't do via a non-Jew either. Which I haven't seen talking about Kim Ayin Sham. The Sham is bar bezeh pretty. Probably is going to explain this much later on. Baruch says that. That if it's adjacent to a orchard, you don't have to be making mecha in the hands of the person's mekel. If it's not adjacent, you can make meko by using a non-Jew. Seems to be a big chiddush in Arukh HaShulchan. You would emachnis him son with deer. You can't bring a sheep into a pen of chomoy lezevel to make fertilizer. The zabel so that to fertilize the field. That's a derivative of planting or plowing. Mishnah says, even didn't do it biyadayin, because it looks like he himself is making the fertilizer. And making and fertilizing is a derivative of plowing, because you're making the ground better to plow it, to plant it in. Excuse me. If the non-Jewish shepherd puts him in on his own volition, mutter smitted afilu b'Shabbos. It's on Shabbos. The role is kedar kam so he's doing it for himself. Okay, and even if he feels gratitude to you, I'm sorry, even if you feel gratitude to him, how shich nisan, and that he brought them animals in, mutter shmisel vach lo yitain lo schar. Shouldn't pay him. I feel he made a notion of schar mozona, seeming to give him money for his food. Awesome Shabbos. It's awesome Shabbos because it looks like an Asek. On the Bekilo, on the other lenient, Shiachol yitain lo schar mozonos, he can give him the money to buy his own food as well. The Bishop says even on Yontif itself. Okay. Eventually, as long as he only gives him a food allowance, not anything else. Is this like working? It's not like it's where something which is connected to the ground. Lamani, if you cut it, it doesn't work even if you stipulate a price and stipulate you shouldn't do it on Yontif. A meal came with the Ainzim Mechubar Kar Gomer, but since it's not absolutely Mechubar, it's the fertilizer. He killed Yontif. They were a little bit lenient on Yontif. Shmuel says it's only when it's not a true complete malacha. But if a Jew does complete malacha b'Yontif for a Jew, you can't pay him for his food, and you have to actually protest his doing it on Yontif or Chol Moed. Chol Moed, I feel noticing low schar. If they pay him a full salary, mutter to okay, so that's how he's doing in order to make money. It says you're allowed to pay him only after Yontif. It's sort of here. Eventually, she was like him. Was that as long as you don't rent them out. The don't rent the sheep, I guess. As far as producing fertilizer. But Gamli said it shouldn't help him. Gamli so Shomer. I mean, no, that you shouldn't hire the non-Jew to help with the animals when you're also do it. The Gamla said you should also help out. The Gamla so Shomer shouldn't give him a bodyguard or a watchman. To take the sheep bahadir in the corral, from place to place. Corral pen. They should design in order that everything, all entire areas should get fertilized. I mean, my roa is low sachir yom, but the shepherd's not paid by the day, but by the year. Also, by the month. I feel sachir shavua, even by the week. But science so you can help. You can help Machomoy. Most of them shomer give him a watchman to help him take sheep from place to place. You should not hire him a watchman specifically for this day. Showing basically you watch from your house or sachar shavua. You have something for a week, etc. Shabbos Yontif Filim so Shomer also on Shabbos Yontif not even allowed to give him a bodyguard. Rav also he saw the b'chol moed now allowed to harvest the b'chol moed. Im eno nifsad arachar moed. I'm thinking after Yontif will not cause you a loss. K'shem do at for become a sale when the grain is fully grown. Plus, if it's going to cause them a little loss, it's okay. Which says even if it's going to cause the partial loss, it's also okay. When it rains, we very much permit digging out potatoes, from the ground. And she's passing because they get a lot of stuff sustained loss by the rain. So to other things, get ruined by rain. Sometimes it's very cold. With frost and ice. Also, you'll have to dig those away because it ruins them very much.